When I was 16, my summer started with a big family trip, a 10-day Royal Caribbean cruise through Florida and the Bahamas. Our grandparents had organized the vacation for all of us: my parents, my two brothers, my sister and her boyfriend, my aunt and uncle, two cousins, and of course my grandparents. My older brother, Rob, who was 20, and I spent a lot of time together. And we managed to share a cabin by claiming our dad was staying there, which technically wasn't allowed. One night, Rob and I were in the ship's nightclub. I'd snuck in by borrowing someone else's ID card, feeling pretty thrilled to be there, until I noticed a strange man sitting by the wall, watching me. He looked older and gave off an unsettling vibe. At first, I wasn't sure if he was really staring, but every time I moved, his head followed me. Feeling increasingly uncomfortable, I decided to leave. Outside the club, I ran into my sister and her boyfriend sitting at the bar, so I sat with them for a few minutes to shake off the encounter. But then, I spotted the same man from the club sitting across the room by the bar, still watching me. I pretended not to notice, though my heart was racing, and debated whether or not to tell my sister. In the end, I kept quiet and quickly walked back to my room, feeling paranoid and glancing over my shoulder the whole way. When I finally made it safely, I was relieved, convinced the man was just a creepy stranger. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. I got nervous, but it turned out to be Rob, so I let him in, and we didn't see that man again, at least, not until the next night. Around 1 a.m., Rob, my sister, her boyfriend, and I went to one of the restaurants on board for a late-night snack. They weren't planning to go to bed anytime soon, but I was tired and decided to head back to our room alone. However, when I got to the hallway, I noticed that our cabin door was slightly open and the lights were on. I knew we had shut it when we left, and it seemed too late for housekeeping. I cautiously opened the door and looked inside. No one was there, and everything seemed untouched, so I assumed maybe Rob had come back at some point and left the door ajar by accident. Feeling uneasy but convincing myself everything was fine, I went to bed. Sometime later, I woke up in the dark, feeling something brush against my cheek. I realized it was a hand. Half asleep, I brushed it off, muttering for Rob to cut it out, until I looked over and saw Rob still asleep in his bed. That's when I let out a terrified scream that filled the whole cabin. Rob jolted awake, turned on the light, and we saw the man from the club standing beside my bed. Without thinking, Rob jumped on him, punching him, and I joined in, throwing all my strength into defending myself. The struggle lasted less than a minute before frantic knocking erupted at the door. Our parents had heard the noise, and my dad helped restrain the man while we called the ship's customer service center. Security staff arrived quickly, took him away, and locked him in the ship's jail for the rest of the cruise. We never found out exactly what happened to him after that, but the whole experience left me deeply shaken. I don't think I'll ever be able to go on another cruise again. It's an experience that will stay with me for life.